Welcome back to Curse, Code, and Crown, a live play Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition podcast featuring a fully original world and campaign. I am the wizard Cronox, observer of time. Curse, Code, and Crown features our regular voiceover artists and improvisers, Laura Elizabeth as the Orcountant Eta, Tyler Hewitt as Makka Deathcap, and Ryan LaPlante as Duncan Danno, alongside our dungeon master, the incredible Tom McGee. So get ready for an adventure including thrills, chills, and hope for a brighter tomorrow. It's time for Curse, Code, and Crown!
Eta, you are feeling a little bit of a buzz. Despite being an accountant, you're a hardy orc. You've got a good constitution, but you're also drinking like Sprangbrekh tequila, which is a very special, like bad decision level tequila. How many shots do you think? Like, what is? We haven't really, because we've only just met Eta. Ultimately, what do you think Eta's like? I'm cutting loose, not in a healthy like, oh, I'm in a good mood, I just want to party, but in like a. Like, you're basically getting airport, my flight was canceled drunk right now.
Yeah.
What does that look like for Eta?
I think Eta's been very serious about her studies and her work. So I think she's not one of those people who would go and party on the weekends with everyone. Or like every night, like some people do in school.
School. Now.
Yeah. So I think this is like almost when like the first time that you get drunk and you have like 2 or 3 shots like in a row, you're like, I don't feel anything. In the movies, everyone always gets immediately drunk. So I think it's just, she's probably had like 6 or 7.
Right.
It's like Eta, the drunk girl at the party going, I don't even feel it.
I think the worst I've seen for that is people with weed gummies, because those things kick like a fucking mule and everyone's like, oh, it's just a gummy bear, whatever. I'm not feeling shit. And then they eat it and they're high for 3 days. So yeah, I get you. Okay. Yeah. So I think for just the purposes of RP, like don't worry about like character slurring or anything like that. It's just to get a general picture of like on a scale of like, lawyers going to the bar if they lost a case to we're like closer to than like yeah. I think that makes sense. It is also, again, like if you are being set up, this is like there's nothing you can do. You've already taken the bait, and honestly there was no way to get out of it. Like this is your job. Yeah,
this is kind of like, well, I might as well see like how things turn out.
And admittedly, part of the reason you're on this tour is you've looked over their books, you didn't see anything that stood out, but that doesn't mean there isn't a problem. Yeah. And so part of this is still going in, but it's approaching it in a different way. Okay, so can you please roll me I'm going to go ahead and say a charisma saving throw. Now, this isn't because you're going to get like damaged by charisma or anything. This is to determine how well you're getting along with Dagwood.
Okay.
One of the dangers I'm finding to kind of our style as like a troupe of people who do these things is like we all converse really well, and as a result, there's often situations where I'm like, oh no, I mean the characters all seem to really like each other. It's just because we're like good at give and take and being like helpful improvisers, and that's why I got to occasionally turn to the dice to make sure we're not just like. I mean, she made it like Laura as player as Eta made a very good point, so you win.
Yeah, if all the players and the DM all yes and each other, it's real tough for there to be conflict.
I mean, it's a short show, which this one is not. So
I rolled a 7, so that's a 6.
Okay, cool. The good news is that Dagwood is also awkward because of the nature of his job. So I'm going to say I think you two are having what I would probably call like work convention at the bar, like colloquial chats where like you're getting along. Yeah, I know. Trust me, man. I know. Yeah. I'm with you. You're getting along.
Mild PTSD right now.
Yeah, I understand. You're getting along just fine. It's one of those situations where it's like, well, I mean, since we're here, this is fine, but not someone you would seek out
Yeah.
Again. So it's polite, but also I think the YOLO attitude, as we established last episode of Sprangbrekh, is really something that like I think you can appreciate from an intellectual level of like, I understand why you would try living like this. This is a foolish way to live. I mean, well, I'm here, fine, but yes. So you and Dagwood are, but you are getting along. Like, I want to be clear, this isn't like an awkward, polite silence. But I mean, you guys have talked a lot about, it couldn't be the weather because you're underground, but like rock formations and accounting practices. You know, you've both talked about like what your favorite kind of stationery is, which admittedly is a conversation I quite enjoy. But anyway, you're brought to the armory, and you kind of you pull up in the cart that you've been sort of zipping around in, and Dagwood says, so this is the staging area for the armory. Now, as you can imagine, given how much armor we make, both for export, rather. Sorry, I've had a few tequilas too. YOLO. But we obviously export a lot of armor, not, soul bonded armor like we were just discussing, but our armor is still very good. And the demon, I know it's confusing because we have demonites and demonite, but like demonite, the resource, can still empower armor in ways that really help a lot of people, make them move a lot faster, even if they don't really know why. So we have a staging area here, and beneath us, and you're kind of in like a large circular stone platform. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've all played platformer video games. There are essentially small circular platforms around this central platform. And you can see, because you're kind of in a bit of a cavern, that they seem to go, I think almost like an anthill, they go to different entrances in the cavern to seemingly other storage spots or refinery pieces. Again, you're struck by just how much society there is under Sprangbrekh Fortress. So in a way, it's like a stone version of the fucking Senate from Star Wars. Whatever. Gotcha. Or a platform you would jump to in a side scroller, which is where my head goes. But yes, very much Zelda platforms that will raise and lower. For a second, you are taken by the verticality and of this space, because there's a lot of space above you, but there's a lot more space below. And it's a little bit like stepping out onto the observation deck of a skyscraper. It was just like there's wind because there's just so much cavern going on and obviously things coming and going. What do you think? It's so weird because like my head always jumps to like what Juniper from Dum Dums would think about like a big, cool natural space. How does Ida feel about something like this that is both natural and crafted, but is awe-inspiring to some, but might just be like a functional puzzle to others? What do you think she would be thinking about this?
It would. I think there would be an innate curiosity in like how everything moves. Like she just wants to go to the different places and understand that. But she's also feeling like there is a microclimate in here, which I was not expecting.
Right you are. Well, part of that is we have dug tunnels and made use of natural tunnels to all manner of places. And honestly, the harvesting of demons as a resource, as well as the metals that we also draw from the ground here, is a complicated matter. There are places where I don't know if you're familiar with the Shadowlands or any of that shit, but like there's spaces where it's a bit easier to move through the veil, and what started as a major problem, an infestation, if you will, in the mines of demons just coming through, has actually become a mining concern, which is where's the veil thinnest? Where are we going to see these demons come through the most, so that our demon knights are prepared to stop any outbreaks, but also so that we can make best use of our resources. And yes, as a result, between that and all of the carts we've got driving around, there's a microclimate down here. Honestly, the breeze is very refreshing. The air is, as I'm sure you noticed, very still most places down here.
Do you fly to the different platforms?
Oh, yes. It's quite fascinating. I'm not sure how familiar you are with runic magic, but we actually, a lot of us, myself included, are rather talented with it. And as a result, we've imbued these little platforms with the ability to transport us to the various places. Now, some of them are linked.
And I just point and I say, fly there.
He says, all right, great, let's go. So he kind of, and like, you can tell, like, you've really touched a nerve. Like, this is something that no one else cares about. It's like if you talk to Otis, the inventor of elevators, and we're like, I want to talk about elevators. Guy whose name is on the elevator. And he's like, oh my God, most people are just bored. Yes. So he rushes over to one, and to the one you pointed to, and he gestures wildly to you.
What do I do?
Come on. You want to go?
Yes.
All right, come on, let's go. Okay. Do you like rush over? Do you walk over? I'm trying to get a general sense of like, in my head, we've had a very like stoic Ida till now. What does slightly drunk Ida move like? Is she walking? Is she like the person trying to like prove she's sober by trying to walk a straight line? What's the deal?
She is like, as stately as she can be, in a very much like, I'm stepping into the world, kind of like
sure
and experiencing things intentionally.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So you stride over and board the platform, and he boards the platform too. And as soon as you do, he does like the Iron Man drop, where he kind of like puts a hand to the ground. And suddenly a ring of runes lights up around the edge. So given that you're trying to ascertain what this thing is and how it works, can you roll me either a perception, an investigation, or an arcana, please? Knowing, of course, that this is shot through the lens of you using math and logic, not like...
Yes. I think especially because she's a little tipsy, I think it would be more of an arcana than an investigation.
Sure, that makes perfect sense to me.
That is a 14.
14. Okay. So you see a pattern of these runes light up. They seem to be carved around the rim of the disc. A few of them aren't lit up. Some of them are. It's visually kind of dazzling. They do kind of like light up in a way that Tequila Brain really likes. Mm-hmm. And he says, now, this is going to be an odd sensation, but trust me, it's entirely safe. And as he said, off we go. Do you think you would point it up or down?
I kind of want to move it all around.
Oh, okay.
Up, down, and all around.
Yes.
And all around.
And I think she really gets into the feeling of like it going down, and that feeling of like when an elevator suddenly goes down, you're like, ooh.
Yeah, so I think you like hurriedly explain that because it's just doing like a standard like rise, and so he nods and he starts kind of like touching different runes, and it goes up, it goes down, it bumps, and it is just that thrill that I've never seen performed better than John Hammond be like, oh, that's a little bit bumpy. And sure enough, the platform, it seems to actually be a very smooth ride. And there's something about the wind kind of blasting past you. It's like being in a car with the windows down or the roof down. If you've ever been in a car with the roof down.
I spread my arms. I spread my arms wide and just feel.
Do you have like a proper like close your eyes, arms wide, like King of the World moment?
No, I don't close. I don't close my eyes because, God damn it, I want to see everything.
Oh, yeah, cool. You don't want to miss a thing. I get it. Cool. So you spread your arms, and despite how bad all this, despite like the disappointment of kind of the last few hours, this is actually something legitimately nice. And for someone who spends most of their time in a library, like this is kind of a cool experience. So at the very least, you're getting like an awesome Sprangbrekh experience. Which is only ruined when you feel the boot hit your back. And as you're thrown off of the platform into space, with your eyes open, you're able to see Dagwood looking just very, very sheepish and to some extent sad. And as you begin to fall, it just says, "I'm sorry it was you. You seem really nice." And then
I am
you fall
betrayed.
into the abyss. Meanwhile, back at the Board of Trade, our classic Curse Code and Crown character, Ginkgo Longleaf, and his retainer, Duncan, because there's only so far Makka can lie, are being ushered up to see the Minister of Trade, Weebly Strabelmeyer, an entirely real, not made-up name that I did write down at this point several weeks ago, and I'm just committing to past Tom's mistakes. So, Duncan, you still have the taste of that vile bottom dweller's delight, I think it was.
I got barf mouth.
Yeah. But also, I mean, the drink itself was so bad that barf mouth is actually kind of better. But also, having tasted how vile it was, you are a little bit concerned about like what actually consuming that would have done to you. So, like, it's a win. But the two of you are led up by the Underminister, kind of up a flight of stairs. And the stairs have like pictures on either side that have been drawn. Duncan, it reminds you briefly of your old portraiture pal. But very austere kind of portraits of all of the previous ministers. Of course, given that we live in like weird Sprangbrekh, all of them are like either like hungover or they've got like the glasses on the back of their head and the front of their head. There's absolutely no indication of trade in any of these fucking things. But it looks like they all truly partied hearty, as it were. And the minister's like, all right, again, it's been a real honor. Sorry, the Underminister, rather. It's been a real honor. It's cool partying with you guys. All right, cool. I'll leave it to you. Mr. Strabelmeyer, we'll see you now. And with that, she throws open the door and ushers you into a large, what would be very stately room, except it is in like wild organizational disarray. There are just shelves full of papers, and they're sticking out at weird angles. And like, it really does look like someone took all of their like university notes and just like put them on shelves. And I think, Duncan, to your eye immediately, this is just like a space where records matter, but the people recording things and placing them kind of don't give a shit, nor have they ever gone back through it. And based on the lack of longevity in the lives of these dwarves, seemingly it's kind of like, well, I'm going to be dead in a couple of years, so fuck it. In you go. And you wade through empty bottles as you enter. And wearing a ratty house coat and a vaguely sweat-stained pink singlet with slotted green sunglasses and frosted tip hair, you meet the Minister of Trade, Weebly Strabelmeyer. You note that one of his arms is frozen directly out in front of him, as though he's trying to give someone props, but has grade. And he seems to be ignoring it, but it also means he kind of has to lean on it on the table because it really throws off his balance to have a stone arm jutting directly out in front of him. But you walk in and he is just fucking nomming down on some nachos, just shoving cheese and chips into his mouth. And he kind of goes, what's up, my dudes? Welcome. Oh, sorry, you caught me on a snack break. Oh man, that Jaden Hayworth goes hard. Welcome.
Is Jaden Hayworth here?
Oh no, bro, you just missed him.
We just missed him.
I mean, he might still be in the building or something. I don't know. But
do you know which way he went there, friend?
Well, he said he had to hit the head. Look, I don't mean to speak out of school, but I think he might be banging that metal chick he brought. So you might want to knock first, check, make sure there's no sock on the knob. Am I right? And then he holds up his stone arm for props to you, Makka.
He is a smith of some kind. Yes, I see.
Don't leave me hanging, bro.
No, I wouldn't want to do that.
Bump your fist against his. That's what he's looking for.
Yes.
And instead of like coming out to like meet it, it's just my hand like coming down on it. It's just like, yes.
It bounces off the table and he's like, oh shit. Yeah, sorry, bro. I think things have changed since you were last here, but that's okay. That's okay. Wow. The ginkgo longleaf. I cannot fucking believe it, man.
Tom, is there like a bathroom sign? I guess Duncan has no interest in this.
Yeah,
now.
100%. You can absolutely find where it is. And again, like, Duncan has never been the focus of any of this, so you leaving isn't like an, oh no, where's that guy going? It's kind of like, oh, your assistant left.
Yeah, I think Duncan will lean over to Makka and go, I've got to go drop a big old turd, so have a great time, Ambassador. He just looks at him like, remember the character, and then he'll go to the shitter.
He's like, wow, your assistant is really intense. I don't think you needed any of that information.
Yes, he is my assistant, and I am Ambassador Ginkgo Longleaf.
Yeah. No, we totally got that. That's awesome.
Yes.
So, look, man, I gotta ask, where'd you get a human slave? That's dope.
He is not a slave. He is my companion.
Yeah, okay. Like your companion?
My traveling companion.
Yeah,
yes.
all right. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Okay.
Yes,
all right.
good. Yes, we understand each other.
Oh, yeah, we do. All right. Yeah. Ambassador Longleaf, it is a real honor. Look, we weren't expecting you today. Otherwise, I would have like cleaned the place up. He obviously wouldn't have. My predecessor, they left me a letter I was supposed to read if you were ever going to come to visit, and I haven't read it yet because I didn't think you were coming to visit. Do you mind if I just take a hot second to take a look at that? It's been like handed down for like 2 generations before me, so like I feel like it's pretty important.
Yes, please proceed.
All right, awesome. In the meantime, help yourself to the mini bar. We have some extraordinarily rare liquors and some very common ones that will just get you right fucked. Also, don't worry, we prepared your favorite room for later. So like, orgies, am I right? Anyway, go grab yourself a drink. I want to see how you pound them back. And then he reaches into his desk, and you notice that it's actually like an engraved box that he pulls out. And he takes a key off a chain around his neck and opens it. So there is some like pomp and circumstance to whatever this letter is. So he opens it and you see him flip through a few letters, and then he kind of holds it up to you and begins to crack it open. Makka, how do you think? You obviously don't need to go pound drinks.
Makka is motionless, standing in the middle of the room.
Okay. Great. Eventually, Weebly, he kind of keeps like looking at you and like feels a little weirded out by this. So he just like turns his chair, like spins his chair so his back is to you. And then every so often he just kind of peeks around the corner, like pulls up his glasses in a way that all of us who wear glasses know does not help you see better. But then again, neither do slotted sunglasses. So who knows? Maybe it does. When he does this, you realize he probably hasn't slept in days because he's got like those proper like rings and like red eyes and just kind of like, okay. And he goes back to reading. And Makka, you stand unmoving, a turtle amidst time in the center of the room. Meanwhile, Duncan, you are on a vital quest to stop an idiot. So you rush to the bathroom, and you can see, because this is kind of like somewhere that visitors do see, there are clear signs. And when you reach it, you boot open I assume you're like going guns blazing, right?
No, because he can't pick a fight with Jaden Hayworth, so he has to confirm where Karen is, and then he can go talk to her.
All right, so
I think this is a lot of him realizing he can't just kidnap someone in this place, so he needs to lie to her. So it's a lot of like heavy breathing and being like, you can get through this. You just got to play the character that she needs you to be.
I like to imagine that like Mr. Bang is like vibrating against your hip and you're like, no, No.
Yeah. Between that and the
Can't do
sword,
it.
it's like his hands are just floating above his hips. It looks like he's about to draw in an Old West movie, but he's just stopping himself from doing it.
Great. I love it. Okay. So, Ryan, can you roll me? I think we're going to go with investigation, please. And he's rolling.
17.
Hey. You approach the bathroom, and from inside you can hear Jaden's voice kind of being like, "You need to do better. This was unacceptable. You gotta be the best ever."
Okay, so there's that. Is there anything from the women's room?
That's all you hear.
Ah, damn it.
Admittedly, he could be talking to Karen. It was implied that they were fucking, so...
That's the thing. I think, he'll just go in, but he's going to pretend like he needs to use the urinal. Like, he's just going to act like a guy going to the bathroom.
Great. I should point out, these are like stone urinals that are just basically a hole in the ground. Not unlike most urinals. You open the door, and you see Jaden holding the sink with both hands, and just like an inch from the polished mirror in front of him, just like staring at himself, just like staring at himself the way that you stare at Karen, just like loathing and rage and disappointment. And he goes, I didn't realize anyone else was coming in here to pee or poop. And he quickly, like it's full like politician trying to like right themselves, like dust himself off and like tries to straighten up. Duncan, there's no sign of Karen in here, but Jaden does seem a little bit off his game. What do you do?
Okay. Duncan has seen and read some of the books, so he knows that great moments are often leaders in a bathroom, and sometimes they just listen to somebody at the urinal. So he's just going to pretend and be like, "Oh, don't worry about me. I can't vote, so I'm not going to be able to help you with the whole election thing." It's got to be hard being a man at the top. He just goes over to the urinal and he's just like he's gonna actually pee. I'm sure he needs to.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough.
But he's doing that like casual talking as though it's not a big thing. It's gonna be tough not having anyone you can talk to, because I mean everyone here's got to be able to vote, right?
That's right. It's very difficult. A lot of the time I feel very alone. Can you roll a persuasion check, please?
Yes, and I would like to use a swashing point to be extra charming, because I think he's putting on his full, humble, small town Southern Scotsman bit.
Yep, great. While you do that, I'm going to turn my light down because it's fucking blinding me. So roll away.
Cool. Now we wait for Tom.
No, I'm listening. I'm still here.
Dirty 20.
Oh! All
Yay.
right. So he says, "It is. It really is. Oh, I'm so desperately lonely." And he just like falls on your back, like as you're buttoning back up, and he's just weeping. And he's like, "No one's ever said that to me. Everyone here in Sprangbrekh thinks it's party all the time, but sometimes you can't party alone." And he's just like bawling into your shoulder. As uncomfortable as the situation is for Duncan, it worked. And he's like, "Oh, I'm so happy to have an outsider to talk to. Well, another one. I was talking to that metal chick earlier. She really got it. She really gets me."
Yeah, she does do that. Where'd she go? Why isn't she here to support you?
"Oh, well, she was, but she said there was this angry guy with an accent after her. Wait a minute. Oh, I think that might be you."
Oh, no, that's actually Ambassador Ginkgo Longleaf. He's my boss, and he's right mad at her.
"Oh, she won't like that. I get the sense she's very powerful, though. I think she's going to be my first lady. If you get my drift." And he, like, elbows you.
Oh, you're going to marry her? That's impressive. Well, here's the thing. It's going to be tricky to find, an appropriate wedding dress for a walking suit of armor. However, I happen to have made friends with Jeanette Wilcox, the director of bonding, and she thinks that she might be able to craft something majestically appropriate for Karen. I've been trying to patch things up between her and my boss, the ambassador. So maybe if you could talk Karen into going to see Jeanette Wilcox, I could make sure that, there's a ring, there's a dress, there's all the things that could build a future for you two. You could make a big thing for the election in a couple of days, couldn't you?
I get some armor too?
Well, why don't we get the lady first? Because you can't be there at the same time because you can't see the dress, right? That'll ruin the wedding. I know that. So first her, and then you, and then we can sort out the whole ceremony.
I just rolled a check for him. He gives you a very probing glance. He really takes stock of you. He says, you seem to know a lot about weddings. Maybe I could use your help. And then he leans in and he puts hands on both of your shoulders. And again, you've just buttoned up, so you're not, and it's medieval pants. And I guess you're wearing your weird Speedo thing. So actually, you probably just popped around the side. Forgot you were in your stupid Sprangbrekh gear. So he puts his hands on your bare shoulders, under the cloak, and like a proper Hey Hermano from Arrested Development. He's like, "Will you, guy I just met in this Yannel, be my best man?"
Absolutely. Yes, I will.
And then he just hugs you and says, "Thank you." And you get the sense you've befriended Jaden Hayworth, presidential candidate, lover of armor, and women made of armor. So he agrees to talk to Karen, who apparently is waiting around back at his private cart. About going to get fitted for something fancy with Jeanette Wilcox. And he proceeds to then start to ask you a lot of questions about the wedding. And half of them seem to be I really need a friend questions. And half of them are incredibly pointed logistical questions about a wedding and how you could use it to also, because he gets the sense that you're a political guy too. So he's like, can the wedding on election day?
Yeah, I feel like this is a weird confluence of a lot of Duncan's skills, which is he would know how the royal weddings worked and he would know the political consequences because he'd have to have run security and be able to advise on it. So I think he's just given straight up advice at this point where he's like, yes, running it on the day of the election seems smart. It'll give you something to build up to, that's a good idea on the scale of things. It comes down to how many people do you want to invite? And it's going to be important who you don't invite as well. And then he just gets to all the shit Gwendolyn never would ever want to hear about, which is how to build a seating plan that'll offend someone, but make the other person feel good. So while he's doing this and giving functional advice, I think he'd just be trying to learn as much as possible about the political landscape, who's for Jaden, who's for Richard the Grey, all that kind of thing.
Okay, so I think then, Ryan, if you could roll... I think I might make this persuasion. That isn't technically what it is. I'd also take deception deception might be the better call here. But yeah, basically just rolling to see how effective you are in drawing that out of him.
Nice. And I will use another swashing point because I think he's really laying it on with
Oh, yeah. Also, admittedly, I'm sure this is also actually kind of quietly fun for Duncan because he hasn't actually had an apt pupil ever. Not since Gwendolyn was a little girl has he had someone who's actually teach me this.
Yeah, no one asks Duncan questions that are not either rhetorical or meant as an insult.
Yeah, no or life and death in the moment. I have to make a hard call and I don't want to, so absolve me. It's just literally hey, here's a low stakes thing. Can you help?
Yeah, that is a 23.
23.
Nice.
Wow. Okay. Those are large numbers for a D20 based system. Yeah, he is putty in your hands. He is just thrilled about it. He is 100% just kind of following along. Ryan, forgive me. What were you specifically trying to get from him in this as well?
Wanted to I need to trust me
for him, against him, all that
Karen,
shit, right?
But yeah, basically, because I think Duncan is realizing if he can't get Karen out, he can't let Karen run a foreign nation because he's brought Karen here. So he needs to know who's on which side. How can he affect the election legally, essentially?
Okay. So with a 23, I'm going to give you 5 questions that we can argue you are kind of quietly seeding throughout this. I'm going to cut away so you can have a hot second to think about those.
Great.
But keep in mind, this is all still urinal chat. So you get 5 questions that you can kind of seed throughout. Makka, Weebly Strabelmeyer turns back around, and a lot of the joviality is gone. You notice he's actually sitting up in his chair. And similar to what you've seen from some of the other Sprangbrekh dwarves, it seems like when there's actual business to be done, they actually are very good at what they do. They just wrap it in a layer of party. He kind of gets up. He goes over, pours himself a drink, doesn't offer you one, comes back, and actually comes around in front of his desk and kind of leans against it. He says, listen, bro, I'm really sorry. I didn't quite understand what your purpose was here today. Again, that's kind of on me. But admittedly, I wasn't born when this plan was made. Rest assured, though, I didn't know the exact details of who it was for or why it was happening, but it would seem that everything is going according to plan if things are advancing at the rate they should be. And he kind of like pulls out a pocket watch and looks at it. He says, Dagwood should have disposed of the visiting orc countant by now, which should mean that the plan is moving ahead as you'd requested. You can tell your superiors at the consortium that with her death, war is guaranteed, and your interests will be protected. So, congrats, man. You did it. Wow. Plan decades in the making. Who would have thought?
That is good.
It really is. Really is. I mean, a lot of people are going to die, but honestly, I'm pretty jazzed that you're going to make me president. So, like, thank you, man. That's awesome. That's really cool. I know technically you'd signed the deal with like two people ago, but like, it's pretty cool for me.
Yes, that is what is going to happen. Yes. I am going to have a drink. Yes. Will you drink with me?
Yo, man, I would love to. Also, like, you know, given that we're going to be under Empire, like, you know, Empire Consortium and Apex control soon, like, it's pretty cool to drink with, like, the boss, right? So, yeah, man, sure, let's do it.
I'll go over to the drink cart and I will grab just literally the first bottle of alcohol, and I'll pour a glass, and I will walk back over and I will pull my glass up to like cheers. Weebly.
Yep, he does so.
Great. So while his good hand is up, cheersing, my offhand comes down on his head with my club.
Holy shit. All right, bud. I'm not going to make you roll to hit because he is very much not resisting.
Okay.
Go ahead and roll your damage.
It's 1 + 2, so 3 blunt, non-lethal damage. I'm doing it with the intention of knocking him out.
I understand. Tyler, I'm going to give you an auto crit on this because you are essentially coup de grace an unsuspecting, unarmed, kind of drunk man. So go ahead and roll double damage on that, please.
Hey, there we go. There's a 6. So 7 + 2, 9.
9? All right. He's not a fighter. He's just a dude. So yeah, you crack him in the head, and he just like, it's like almost the comedic like boom, and then just full on
like timber,
just full plank down. And his I was gonna say his glass shatters when it hits the ground, but he falls into a sea of bottles, so the glass just kind of bounces off some other bottles.
Sure.
But yeah, he's down for the count. What do you do?
I splash the alcohol like on his face and clothes, and I'll drag him around behind the desk.
Holy shit. Makka Deathcap staging a crime.
I
Well
want
done.
to look at this letter.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So you drag it around behind the desk. You pull up the letter, and it says, "Yo, what's up, radical dudes?" You get the sense that the party speak has changed over the decades. But it says, "Yeah, it's your old pal Stickler. That's right, trade minister. What's up?" All right. Well, if you're reading
I like
this,
these phonetically written "What's up?"
yeah, yes, 100%. It is exhausting. It's like reading the copy for a Budweiser ad. It's just happening, and you can't stop it. So Stickler goes on to describe an arrangement he's made with Ginkgo Longleaf, as well as also apparently with a couple of other empires. It seems to you, Makka, that there is a conspiracy afoot that has been some time in the building. As someone who's somewhat familiar with the world, you know that the Apex Institute, the Empire of Numbers, and the Consortium of Bleen have long been part of an alliance called the League of Logic. The League of Logic was a bit of a post Necrotis War holdover. But as the modern equivalent would kind of be like what happened post World War II, where suddenly, like, even though the Soviets and the West were allies, their ideologies were so staunchly opposed that the minute a unifying enemy disappeared, they kind of turned on each other. Mm-hmm. So you are aware that the Covenant and the Shadowlands have been allied with other people, and basically the world kind of split. None of this really mattered to you because you were just focused on the consortium. But the people who really valued order and stability so that their economic engines could run were Apex, the Empire, and the consortium. What this letter seems to outline is a plot orchestrated by the League of Logic to wrest control of Sprangbrekh from purely dwarven control and operation and sovereignty. Essentially, what you can see is that the other down under dwarven nations have expressed a tremendous amount of rage and jealousy towards the prosperity that Sprangbrekh has had. You as Makka aren't aware that this is because of the demon mining, but we as players and listeners would understand that the reason their stuff is better is because they're infusing it with kind of truly heinous energy. Yeah. But essentially, too long being on top of the heap has led to a lot of resentment, and as a result, a plan is occurring. Now, the full details aren't in this letter. It's just enough to know that, like, understand that, when a turtle arrives in Sprangbrekh, activate this plan. Dagwood, well, it wouldn't be Dagwood's, like whoever
the standing minister.
Yeah, and again, everything's in vague terms because Stickler knows that. I don't know. Like, hey, Luna. There's a cat on the feed for those of you listening, and she's very good. She's playing the part of the letter. So, yeah, basically, what you get from it is plot hatched probably 3 decades ago. Contingent on a turtle arriving again, and seems to be in full effect. What you get about the kind of what Dagwood is likely up to is the idea is that the Empire of Numbers would send someone to die here, to prove once and for all that the facility is untenable, that the current government is not keeping its resources in check, and essentially give the Empire excuse to seize control of Sprangbrekh. So this is actually a huge power play by the Empire of Numbers, backed by Apex and the consortium, brokered by the consortium so that no one would suspect the Empire. But what all this means to you immediately as Makka, the modern day turtle, is that your friend Ita is likely in grave danger, because it would seem that she is the sacrificial pawn in this play.
I will keep the letter and look for the washroom.
Cool. Duncan, what are your 5 questions?
All right, so he's strategized his questions around the wedding, so it's all got to exist in weddings that it makes
Good
sense.
man.
So the first one is, this is really going to affect the colors of the wedding, which is like, in terms of the election, who's winning right now? Because if you're winning, you don't want to go too big and colorful, or it'll be sort of offensive and garish. Whereas if your opponent is sort of in the advance, then you want to go big.
That's a really good point that I had not considered. Well, I would like to say that I'm winning because I like to win. But truth be told, a lot of people are scared of the gray, scared of getting old, scared of turning to stone. Me, I say YOLO to all that. Ha ha! Regardless, the idea that maybe we could stop it seems to be important. So there are supporters for that no good dumb Dick the Gray. I would say I'm probably polling at about 60%.
All right, so this is also important in terms of invitations and hype and how you're going to do these kinds of things, which is in terms of the election, now that we know that it's kind of close, are these pretty volatile elections? Like, do people swing really big one way or the other? Or is it sort of like you're trying to move the dial a little bit?
And he looks almost like for a hot second, you get a glimpse of like kind of that Bobby Newport level of like child in over his head in politics, of just being like, well, up till now, it's always been very clear. Whoever would do it would just keep things the way they were. Everybody prospers. Sure, we all die young, but then we leave a beautiful corpse. But now there's this new guy with new ideas. No one likes it. I didn't expect to have such rivals. And he grabs your lapels. You don't really have lapels. I keep imagining you in clothes. He grabs your pecs and he's just like, I didn't think this would be a fight. I thought maybe it'd be someone else like me.
All right, well, don't worry. We're going to sort this out. So here's another question then. In any election, there are always a lot of, let's say there's an electoral college. There's going to be a lot of people and you just know how they're going to vote. They're going to vote traditional. They're going to vote new. But often there are a few kind of swing factions. The one that could go either way that you've got to focus on. Like, who are the swing factions that you'd be worried about the most?
That would be everyone who was born in 980s. All the 90s people are pretty good with me. But the people born in the 80s, they got a real problem with the gray. They're kind of concerned. They might be getting a little bit outdated with their references and their knowledge. We got a whole thing called TikTok. They don't get it. It's where you dance to a clock.
All right, then we need to make sure that you can invite that number of people. That'll be important that they're all included so you can win them over. All right, so then this is one of those questions. This is really going to factor into the seating, because seating is very important in showing people that they're important at a wedding, which is, are there any of your people who are going to vote for you, but that you're worried you might lose or offend? Like, are there any that you're, the least confident in? Because you want to make sure you give them the best seats.
That's a very good point. I've got a few people who won't be too happy that I brought on this new metal Nancy, but I like her. And then he leans in, he's like, also, Duncan, I don't like admitting this. I've told many people of my great conquests. What do I do on the wedding night?
Oh my God. All right, well, first of all, I think we need to get you through the proposal and we need to get the outfits ready, and then I'll give you some coaching. Don't worry, you're going to be great at this.
I hope so. Got a reputation with this voice.
That is something.
I would hate to be filled with Marilyn Monroe.
Boy.
I'll see myself.
Yikes.
All right, so The last question I have for you then, this is very important because it comes down to theme. And a lot of people think, well, it's not a banquet, it doesn't need a theme. No, weddings need a theme. And here's the thing. The theme is something that can save you from things you don't even think are a problem. So there's got to be something that you're probably hiding or you want to keep secret. And if we choose a theme that accidentally hits on that thing, it could make it a big deal. We need to make sure the theme will distract from it. So, like, what's the thing you're hiding that you're worried that people might know that could make cost you votes?
I mean, he looks at you like you're crazy because he just told you. And he says, I'm a virgin. That is quite frowned upon. YOLO and such. But I'm saving myself for marriage.
Is that for religious or personal reasons?
Both. I'm just scared. Scared I'll be bad. Scared I won't be able to do what all my friends say they can do. So I want to make sure they're stuck with me. Marriage.
Aww.
It traps you.
That's so sad.
Oh, like,
yeah, he's full of pathos.
I was gonna say it's also like very toxically masculine.
Yeah.
Toxically masculine pathos.
I think it's important now that you go and find Karen and get her to go to Jeanette Wilcox so that she can get the right outfit. And the other thing I need you, because he realizes in his head that he can't actually go anywhere near fucking Karen as Duncan without blowing his entire story. And he's like, listen, the next time that you see me, right now, this is me casual because I just got here. But from this point onwards, if there's anyone else around or anything, you're actually going to see me in like a full body uniform and I have to wear a mask and a hat. And my voice is going to sound different because I need to be formal, but it'll be me and you'll know because I'll give you this handshake. And then he like invents a handshake that it's not great, but it's just like fist bump the other hands, like that weird thing where people jiggle their fingers against each other.
Yeah, I'm with it.
Yeah. And then because he realizes if he does anything more, he's going to forget. He leans forward and whispers in his ear and says, best friends forever.
And he just hugs you so tight and says, I understand. We all have our masks to wear. Now, if you excuse me, I got to go tell people how I banged that metal chick. And then he boots the door open. He's like, boy, are my man bits tired. And he just like starts storming down the hall, bumping into Makka, who is coming down the hall. He says, sorry, giant total man. Or vote Jaden. And then he wanders past you. Makka, you meet Duncan coming out of the bathroom. Or wait, Duncan, I assume, do you take like a hot second to just... I know I've obviously never had that conversation, but conversations like that, sometimes you just need to take a second afterwards to be like, whew, that was a lot of dumb.
He's going to wash his hands and just feel a little bit of shame. Just that democracy, the system that he assumed would be better than just someone being born, can put this asshole in charge. And like our leader's this bad everywhere. And like technically he lied to this guy, which doesn't feel great because he is a member of the Dawnbreakers. But this feels like it's the right thing to do to save the princess. And I think it ends up legitimately with him being like doubling down on the fact that he needs to save the princess so he can free himself from the oath to protect the princess, because it's fucking with his other oaths in a way he doesn't like, because he's had to lie and let shit go that he'd never let go, and like not bring up the fact that they were enslaving humans, which is evil, and that like this fucking weird thing where he has to put up with Karen. You know what? By the time he leaves the bathroom, he's just angry again. Like he's just right back to pissed off.
Amazing. So, Makka, you find a very pissed off. I mean, I don't think Makka would read that, but like Duncan storms out of the bathroom in his little mankini and cloak and ripped abs. But he looks unemotion, which generally I think for Makka is bad news, because like, it could be anything.
Makka will like press the note like into his chest and like turn him around and walk him back into the bathroom.
All right, fair enough. Ryan, you are gifted with all of the ramblings I gave Tyler 5 minutes ago.
All right. So the Empire of Numbers is trying to take over, but they're using the consortium to hide it. Also, they're about to kill Ita. Okay. Hey, how the fuck did you get this?
It was in a locked box of letters that the trade minister had access to with a key.
So he gave it to you?
No, he read these instructions and told me part of the plan. And so I knocked him out. And I splashed alcohol on his body and dragged him behind his desk.
All right, first of all, we should leave.
Yes.
Second of all, normally I would say that this would be a political disaster, but right now you're representing the consortium of Bleen, who are a part of the conspiracy, and you've attacked a co-conspirator. This is actually kind of working for us overall, because we need them to be less sure of what's going on. I think what you should... Okay, we'll go down...
Does an attack on someone committing their own political attack still count as a political attack?
I mean, by definition, yes. I don't... okay, do you know what? I'm going to walk you through it real fast. So he's bad, but he's lying to the people on behalf of the bad guys. He thinks you're a bad guy, so you attacked him. Now, normally he would go, that guy's evil, but he can't because we've got this letter right here, which we can blackmail people with. And he folds the letter up carefully and puts it in his mankini. And he's like, but the thing is, we need to sow even more confusion. On the way out, I'm thinking, you need to tell that guy by the door that the plan is off and tell everyone the plan is off. And if they do anything, you'll bonk them on the head and then they won't know what the fuck to do. And then we can go save Ita, which we really need to do right now.
Yes. I think I will take that box of letters with us. There may be more information that princess, ruler of a kingdom, might want to be privy to.
That sounds very smart. Also, at some point, we need to find me a uniform, a hat, and a mask. I sort of committed to things here. I may be helping a candidate get married to Karen if she's not a murderer in a way I can prove.
Makka blinks like very slowly and just like nods like,
yes, just so. And like...
and with that, the two of you very quickly make your way out of the embassy. Meanwhile... Ita, you are falling very far. You may not actually have anything that can help you with this. What do you do as you fall?
Am I beside a wall?
No, anything? You are
just like, a void?
Unfortunately, you ask to be taken out into space on these little rides, which means he's booted you in the space between the main platform and everywhere else. So you are just full on like Alan Rickman at the end of Die Hard. I mean, spoilers, I guess, but just fucking watch Die Hard. What's wrong with you? Just like falling with that look on your face of, ooh. I
mean, I have really dark vision, so I should be able to see what I'm going to fall onto. So maybe I can fall in a way that I don't die.
Cool. So the goal then, and based on your skills, is like try and fall in a way that won't kill you.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sorry, Laura. I feel like you've got really bad luck on this show with characters you're playing falling
to their death.
Yeah, generally speaking. Okay, so
don't kill me outright.
Laura, I'm gonna need a perception check from you, please.
Okay. 10.
Okay. Looking around, there is nothing that can help you. You can't quite turn around because you're falling through space. So this is really just going to be a roll and hope for the best. I'm going to need a Constitution saving throw, please. Go ahead and roll.
Right. Oh, thank goodness. 21.
21. Amazing. You hit the ground hard. You feel bones break. Possibly just ribs, you hope.
Just ribs, Jesus.
Yeah, Laura, what is your current HP?
39.
39, great. Let's see where it ends up. Okay, not the worst so far. Okay, it's getting the worst. Okay. You're gonna take 26 points of damage.
Okay.
From
well,
the
that's
fall.
Nice.
You're also going to have disadvantage on strength and constitution checks.
Okay.
You hit the ground. You just go as limp as you can. Luckily, you're 7 tequilas in, so that's actually pretty limp. You hit the ground, and I want to be clear that the damage you've taken is not equivalent to the pain and hurt of hitting the ground this way. Just sometimes the mechanics in the narrative don't entirely sync. So crunchy, ouch time. You kind of like with your vision swimming from the sort of pain and shock. You kind of manage to prop yourself up, and you can see that you're not in an armory. There doesn't seem to be any armor around. You're instead in what seems to be like looking around. There's abandoned mining gear. Like it looks like a disused part of the mine. And as you kind of try and get your bearings, what's going through your head right now, other than ow, 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 my fucking ribs, ow?
I think it's just I think there's part of me that's like really glad that I had all that booze, because I'm like, this there's a rational part of my brain. I'm like, this could be hurting more than it is.
It probably will later in the game.
Yeah. It honestly, right now, it's just kind of shock that I got fucking set up
by your best friend Dagwood Smithsonian.
Well, not by him. More of like the Empire.
You don't actually know that,
but
Laura does. But I mean,
I don't know. There's like, I mean, well, he did say, "I'm sorry, it was you." So obviously, like, someone sent me, or someone knew. Anyways, there's been a plan to kill whoever came from the Empire, and so fuck this.
Yep. So with a string of French rage in your mind, which is a truly spectacular language for cuss words, I must say.
Yeah. There's a lot of religious-based swearing.
Oh, very much. The fact that tabernacle is one is very funny. It's more of a Montreal thing, but you get what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
You struggle up on one elbow, again, feeling like searing pain in your body in general. And looking around this kind of disused part of the mine that seems to almost be kind of like a junk heap to some extent. You're looking for an exit, and you can see there are several that lead off down various corridors, which is the first thing you notice. The second thing you notice, however, are the pairs of glowing red eyes that seem to be stalking towards you out of the darkness. And as you struggle kind of up to a seated position, feeling that same drop you felt when the platform fell, but just about your general situation, you hear the first blaring klaxon of the breach alarms. And lurching out of the darkness come blood-red demons with long forked tongues who seem very, very excited to have found a new meal.
This episode of Curse Code and Crowd Sound was mixed and edited by Laura Hemstra, and the campaign was created by Tom McGee. Our original theme music was composed by Landon Knoblock, and Curse Code and Crowd's logo was created by the brilliant Decapitated Markers. If you want to follow our players or our DM on Twitter, you can reach out to Laura at EL Hamstring, Ryan at the Ryan LaPlante, Tyler at Tyler_Hewitt, Tom McGee at McGeeTD, or you can message our whole company at DumDumDice. So please, join us again for more Curse, Code, and Crown!
Dum Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christian Menicola, Long, the Half-Blind Prophet, James Cuellar, Charles Grams, Christopher Little, Sue 1, George Dolby, One True Artistry, Orion Birchfield, Lorda Bradovic, Noel Lewis, Scott Garland, Anthony Griffin, Chet Awesome Laser, Jordan Neesmith, Benjamin V, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Taryn Hefner, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumbdumbdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.